everybody. My name is McCall. I'm an INFP. This is my channel. Welcome. I'm having some Greek yogurt because I'm trying to be healthy. Great stuff. Okay, so what I want to talk to you guys about today is the INFP insecurity. So if you don't know our cognitive functions, I recommend typing in INFP C.S. Joseph, and he's going to break down all of that. Or just type in INFP cognitive functions, get a full understanding of what that is. That's super helpful. As being an INFP, I definitely recommend that. I'm going to try not to explain all of our cognitive functions here because it takes so much time, and I'm trying to make my videos shorter because they're notoriously stupid long. So, here's the deal. So the reason why we have an insecurity. We're not so anything. We have an insecurity, and that happens because of our extroverted thinking. So our extroverted thinking is our inferior function. It's the thing that we use the least and we get to last. Other personalities also have their inferior function. It's the thing that they use the least and get to last. But the weird thing about it is because it's our weakest thing or the thing that we're lacking in life, we're always trying to get to our inferior function. So there's this weird tension between our dominant function and our inferior function. You're trying to get from your inferior to your inferior, or to your superior to your inferior function. And as an INFP, this is hard and frustrating. And so extroverted thinking, basically what that is kind of rationale. They dominant extroverted thinkers will kind of plan and suggest a whole bunch of different ideas, I guess. I'm thinking more of ENTJs. I know ENTJs a lot better than I do ESTJs. Both of those types are dominant extrovert thinkers, but what they do is they're kind of thinking about different suggestions and way to learn. They're all about rationale. They love learning things. They love ESTJs and ENTJs love learning things. They love lectures about data and statistics. Like, they love that stuff, and history about how one thing came to be and the purpose behind it, and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm not an expert on those personality types, but the extrovert thinking aspect about them, like, they're operating in that most of the time. And the way that C.S. Joseph puts it in terms of how each type, extrovert thinkers perceive the world is there's like 10 people at a table, and there's a statement given to all of them. Each person at the table goes through and says whether they think that statement is true or false. 80% say it's true, 20% say it's false. So that extrovert thinker would make the consensus, or would go with the consensus and say that that is true because 80% of the people agree with it. Whereas an introverted thinker is having their own personal judgment of true or false. They're looking at things, of predicting what will happen next, and kind of making those judgments on their own separately. So extrovert thinking absorbs introverted thinkers, and extrovert feeling absorbs introverted feelers. That's a whole other thing. But basically, so that's a part of us, though. Extrovert thinking is a part of us, and it's an important part of us. Every person has logic or rationale. Every person has their sensory part of them. They have their intuitive part of them, and they have their what am I missing? Feeling part of them? Was that? I don't know. Yeah, I think so. All right. So anyways, we have all of those assets in the bank. Like, every human being has all of the same kind of functions. It's just that we lead with different ones, and that shapes our personality and how we do things and how we perceive life. So what happens is, with being an INFP, is what a TE does, dominant TE, is they are like commanders. They're strong personalities. They're efficiency focused. They build things, and like, we're the polar opposite. We're slow, we're romantic, we're emotional. Everything comes from a very organic place, and we don't really do anything unless it comes out of sheer inspiration and organic, like, compassion and morals. So that's why we're so different. And I think the insecurity part of being an INFP is that our inferiority is in being able to be efficient and productive and building all these things in the outside world. We know on a moral basis, which is our FI or introverted feeling, which is what we use 100% of the time, it's our greatest strength, is morality and what we believe is right or wrong. We know in our morals that it's important to bring forth something into the world. So our greatest insecurity is not bringing forth something into the world, and that's why we'll feel super misunderstood and we'll push people out, or we'll get super gun-ho on all these missions, and that will get discouraging for us because we find ourselves having a big idea but then seeing that it doesn't have the data or the statistics or the practicality for it to actually be a viable option for the greater good or for the whole. So there's these two sides. You're trying to get to your inferiority aspect of yourself, and you're trying to make that possible in the rest of the world. So how do we overcome that insecurity? And honestly, guys, like, I have been so insecure my whole life, and especially through even making all of these videos. I completely have been coming from a place of wanting to extend purpose into the world and believing that if I'm just my idle INFP self, I'm not going to be able to make any purpose in this world. And that's given me so much anxiety and fear, and made me not feel good about myself. So I've been like, okay, I'm going to try to do practical things and try to learn things and make things happen. But I'm going to tell you that based off of my own experience, this is why I'm all bummed right now, is that's not the best option for an INFP. The best option for an INFP is being completely who you are entirely. I think when I read on the Myers-Briggs 16 personalities website, or which one, I don't remember which one it was, and it was saying your weakness is that you don't like data. I think that is not a bad thing, that is our weakness. I wouldn't say that it's a bad thing that we don't like data. I think that's our calling, is to not like data. I think we're supposed to be incredibly organic and not be able to do things unless it's out of sheer inspiration. I would say the only actual fault we can get ourselves into, or where we are actually morally wrong and not applicable to society, is just with the fact of believing that our way is the best way. So this is where the inferiority and superiority thing comes in, or the pride and the self-pity thing comes in that I was talking about earlier. The pride thing is believing that our FI, our morality, what we understand in just that scope, because that's what we use 100% of the time. And if that's what we're only thinking about, we actually do have a limited view. Just like anybody who has a dominant TE, for example, or dominant whatever, they're thinking about that 100% of the time, and they're saying this is the best way. They're obviously having a provincial view because they're not looking at the different viewpoints and experiences of other people around them. So that's where, as an INFP, we have a high standard that everybody's going to meet that same morality as we are. But I think that is kind of where we set ourselves up for failure, because, okay, I'm going to try to lay it out as an example, but if I have a plan to make something better, and I say, if we don't do it this way, or if people don't believe this particular thing, nobody is gonna be morally right. But we have to do it this way. And that's our mission, is to make it morally right. So I'm gonna go for it super hard. I'm gonna try to make this morally right. I'm gonna try to make this particular plan come into fruition, because I believe that particular way is the only way. So I'll go on this mission and I'll learn everything I need in order to make it happen, and even to see if it's true, how it needs refinement, whatever. Let's say I did all of that, and I do it, and I then try to bring it into fruition into the world. But then every single time an INFP does that, every single time you make a plan and you try to bring it into fruition, you're not going to get the results that you expect or wanted, because we are running off of a very particular fantasy and ideal. And by the word fantasy, I don't mean that in a mean, critical way of you like are illogical. It's that we have this moral ideal that we're trying to bring into life, and what happens every time is that we assume because like we're so morally right, because we are really in tune with morals, that the way that we're going to do it is going to be the best and it's going to be the most moral. But the truth is, that's not necessarily true at all. I think when we put an overemphasis on the strength of our FI or our morality, we are inflating our pride. And then what happens as soon as, we see our plan doesn't work, so like how the pride balloon theory goes, like you fill up your balloon and then somebody pops it, because all the efforts that you were putting in, you're saying like, this is me, this is the best, this is awesome. And then when things fall apart, your balloon is popped, and then you have deflated pride and you are suddenly like really bummed. And then what happens as soon as that happens, we run over to our TE, inferior, and we just weigh how we're not good enough in the world to make good social change happen or good positive things happen, and we suddenly just feel like absolute crap about ourselves, and we start to have self-pity. A lot of the time that's where our self-pity comes from, is we start to feel like, oh, like I am so much different than everybody else and nobody understands me, and I'm like just not good enough to even be in this world, like I don't make sense to this world, and we give up and we get super discouraged. So there's this awkward and frustrating balance between, am I just getting super insecure and having self-pity about who I am, that I have no place in this world, and overly worrying about having a place in this world, which is what is the main problem, which I'm going to get into in a second. Or am I just like thinking that my way is just like the highway and I don't know enough, and it always just comes back to you feeling like absolute crap about yourself and you don't really know who you are in this world, and then we're always chronically trying to figure out who we are in this world. It's all just like a big freaking waste of time. So what do we do? Right? Well, I think like today I've been thinking about it, and I want to know what you guys think too. Comment below, please, like anything that you feel a way to make a resolution about this. But I feel like it comes down to accepting the fact that we are not dominant in TD. We cannot make massive social change into this world on our own, off of our own thinking. Our ideas are good ideas, but they are only ideas. We can't, without having people who are strong with sensory experience or strong with logic and rationale, to be leaders and guiding in the process of social change, we cannot make any of our morality come to life. I think we need to be a lot more humble about it. And I think it's hard for us to have little significance as INFPs almost. But I think that's the fear. But when you only focus kind of on your FI in a way of surrender, of like, my way isn't the best way, I don't know what the best way is, but I know I believe in this. And if you personally are choosing to believe in what you believe in and making it kind of come into fruition, into life in the ways that you can for yourself personally, but you're not worrying about it happening in the greater world, you will make so much more change in your life than you realize, and you will start to fit into the world in a way that you didn't realize you were. And I think that's the hardest thing about being an INFP, is that you have no idea that every effort that you have and put forward towards the things that you care about, without trying to fit into the greater good or to the world or to make the world believe in what you believe in, you actually are doing things in a practical way, and that has so much value to people who are logical and who are practical, and are in the sensory world. Like, you actually have so much to offer by simply being yourself. And a lot of the time that looks like writing books, that looks like, journaling for yourself, that looks like painting or playing music, or talking to a friend that you want to get into a philosophical conversation with. Those things seem like they're arbitrary and they don't really do anything in this world, but literally, like, change comes from every individual, and I think you know that. And if you just be yourself and you be that model citizen of what you believe in, then I think that's going to have so much more change, and you will stop feeling so frustrated about it, and just being okay with the fact that you don't have those strengths. Just be okay with the fact that you don't have those certain strengths. All right, I'm out of time, but I thank you guys so much. I'll talk to you soon. Subscribe, like, share, whatever, and please comment what you think. I want to know. All right, have a great day.